This is the Owl of Wisdom. Like and subscribe for 10 years of good luck. If you don't, it won't be pretty. I am former NASA mechanical engineer turned YouTuber Mark Rober. I've been making videos for 9 years and just past 10M subs. AMA. Hello, I'm Mark Rober. I have a YouTube channel where I build stuff and come up with new ideas. I recently co-founded Team Trees with Mr. Beast. My passion is getting people, especially the young folk, stoked about science and engineering. AMA. TL. DR of me. I have a master's in mechanical engineering. I worked at NASA for 9 years, 7 of which was spent on the Curiosity rover. After that I worked for Apple for 4 years doing product design in their special projects group. I just quit to do YouTube full time 6 months ago. Some highlights for me this year were founded Team Trees with Mr. Beast, went from 3M to 10M subscribers on YouTube and past 1B views. I make one vid month. Announced a show I'm making with Jimmy Kimmel that will air on Discovery where we prank people with cool contraptions that violate social norms. Oh hi Mark. Do you think you will go to space in your lifetime? What is the most important thing that needs to happen improve for this? Congrats on 10 mil. Grinning face with squinting eyes. For sure. In fact it might happen this year. Hardest part will be getting clearance from the wife. How close are we to the first human landing on Mars? They are definitely alive. Not sure if they're in grade school or high school or already graduated. I sure hope it's the latter. If something happened and YouTube wasn't an option, would you keep doing these builds for fun? Also, what would you do for a living? I'm getting my teaching credentials. My dream job is to teach high school physics, part-time and volunteer. Did you get any news from the guy who stole one of your glitter bombs? Yes, he finally started returning our calls and texts. I would characterize his response as not very happy. Did he tell you whether he started getting pestered by the Scientologists yet? And how many of those cards did you send out? LOL. No comment on how many were sent. The uncertainty here and difficulty proving what was actually sent is the real charm. I know from his response it's eating him up and he can't exactly go ask all his neighbors if they received a postcard with details on where he is supposed to meet his mail order bride. What made you switch over from NASA to YouTube? At the time it was a pretty easy decision. I started a Halloween company based off my first ever YouTube video. Sold it to some guys in the UK and they wanted me to come up with more ideas. It may sound like a downgrade but it was a fun opportunity and a chance to see what it's like starting a business, plus I knew I could always go back to NASA if it failed abysmally. After doing that for 2 years I was offered a position at Apple to do really cool stuff, so I took it. My philosophy on career paths and life really is like crossing a river by jumping on stones. Have a very rough general idea of your path but then look at the best stone and hop on it. Only at that point will you really see the next available rocks and then wiggle them all with your foot and pick the best one. This idea of having a 20-year career plan or knowing exactly what you want to do with your life in high school is a fallacy and it stresses people out. We think life paths are a straight line but they are always filled with twists and turns and mountains and valleys. That's way more interesting anyways. Hi Mark. About 4 years ago I reached out to you for advice before starting university, and you told me to study purely for the sake of learning, not for the sake of getting a good GPA. That advice stuck with me, and it was easier to follow for some classes than others. After years of doing my best to heed that advice, I was lucky enough to be offered a job working on Mars 2020 at NASA JPL. I believe studying for the sake of deep understanding played a strong role in getting this amazing opportunity. Do you have any advice for engineers about to enter the workforce? Are there common mistakes you see young engineers make that can easily be avoided? Thank you. That's so cool. Congrats. I will be down there filming I think for a video this year. They are flying the backup descent stage from when I was there, which means I have hardware going to Mars again. What section are you in? I'm beyond excited. Thank you. I'm in a group working on simulation for the cruise stage. We will calculate the correction burns needed to reach the targeted point in the Martian atmosphere. I'm not exactly sure what section that would be yet because I haven't been given a ton of information on the job. I start in May. What led you to do partnership with MrBeast? We are friends. Been talking about collabing since I did the lemon powered car video. When someone suggested we work together on this, we just started talking about it and one thing led to another. Of all of your videos, which one was the most expensive to make? Probably Jello Pool or maybe Glitterbun 2.0. We got a deal on the phones because they were used and refurbished from China at $100 per bit. It still adds up. How often do you get noticed in public? Depends on where I'm at. Being in a place with a lot of people, for example sporting event, increases the chances as does certain parts of the country. At this point it's maybe once a day. I've noticed if I hold a camera it goes up about 10x, and if I stop to take a pic with someone then people will look at you to see if they know you, and it goes up a lot then too. How do you feel about your level of fame? Does it bother you? Do you like it? Would you prefer if you could live anonymously? Conflicted. I never wanted that part. At this level it is fine and I enjoy being able to something so simple as taking a picture with someone and making their day. But I have deep empathy for people who are super famous and can't go out in public without constantly being barraged. I could easily see how that would feel like a prison. Was there ever a time it got in the way of your normal life or a really comfortable thing that happened because you are famous? My pharmacist, my doctor, the house cleaner are all examples of people that have recognized me where I would have preferred anonymity. What job did you like more and was more interesting to work at, Apple or NASA? NASA is cool because it's freaking space and I'm designing stuff for another planet. Apple was cool because you have more freedom and bigger budgets to try crazy things. Less red tape to deal with. Wait, Apple gives a bigger budget than NASA? Apple has a more accessible budget to the lay engineer. For example, if I wanted a piece of test equipment at NASA that cost $100,000 it could take months and lots of approvals. At Apple, it would take just a single email. If you were given an unlimited budget for a video, what invention would you make and for what purpose? I mean, that self-driving and drifting DeLorean was pretty cool. What was your first project that really kickstarted your enjoyment for engineering? Maybe the different projects you do in high school: physics, egg drop, toothpick bridge, boat race, etc. I love approaching a problem and the brainstorming part at the beginning and trying to get really clever on the best approach. The more out of the box and simple the better. Hi Mark. Thanks for doing this AMA. What are the most technically challenging things you've designed, either in industry or on your own, and why? Do you have any plans for even more challenging designs? My the 20th of March 20 video I've been working on with a team of Stanford students for 8 months. It will take the cake even above the auto bullseye dartboard. They are all hard for different reasons. The glitterbun is so tricky because it needs to be robust and work in so many different situations. You'll notice the lady that stole the package after covering herself up didn't have a reaction. That's because the weather was slightly colder and the box malfunctioned. GPS still worked, so we found it in the dumpster next to her apartment. We recovered probably 90% of the boxes and they were always in the closest dumpster. Fast spray FTW. At NASA and Apple the problems were much harder, but you also have massive teams working on them, so one person's job is always doable. Hello good sir. What is your favorite tool that you have in your workshop? Mike. Elon Musk flamethrower. And that absolutely qualifies as a tool. Hey Mark, I plan on going into engineering, electrical mechanical. I was wondering, do you believe your master's degree prepared you for your employment? I am also a big fan of yours. My favorite video was 200 dropped wallets. I got my master's degree after working industry for a while. For me that was a better path. I cared more and knew the things I was most interested in after working in the field for a bit. Hi Mark. For Glitterbomb 3.0, can I suggest a high power fan of the base so that it flies everywhere instead of just a concentrated area? The fart spray will also spread further too. LOL, love what you're doing. Thanks Mark. One reason some people didn't smell the fart spray was because the motor was spinning slower at first and it wasn't atomizing the spray and making it float in the air. We fixed that for the reactions you see where they actually smell it. Having said that, next year I will double it again. My goal is to not have a single person not comment on the smell. If you had to prove a flat earther wrong with just a couple of statements, how would you do it? Ugh, size thinks for a bit this whole premise is flawed. As they say, you cannot reason people out of something they were not reasoned into. I think the psychology of conspiracy theorists is fascinating. I think generally they are people who weren't the smartest in their class growing up. This gives them the secret knowledge. They have a leg up on the sheeple. Then a community forms and now they have an identity and friends. There is just no incentive for them to look at it objectively. Confirmation bias runs strong. If they agree the earth is round, then they lose all their friends and go back to being the not smart ones. They don't receive a hero's welcome from us either. We're like, it's about time, idiot. It's just misaligned incentives. If it wasn't flat earth it would be something else. Don't despair if you feel people are getting stupider, they're just getting better at sharing it. Thanks for watching the Chronicles of Reddit. Like and subscribe for a marvelous life of adventure.